Hi, I'm Linda Newnes and I'm presenting today on behalf of the Transdisciplinary Engineering Design Group. There are 18 of us in the team and the authors, as you can see, are listed here. And the wider team include a mix of engineers, environmental scientists, psychologists, management school, basically a wide range of people. And the reason we're looking at creating a transdisciplinary engineering index is we recognise that in the UK and elsewhere, to achieve sustainable growth, we do require cutting-edge research and development of highly skilled people. But one of the challenges we have with this is actually you need to get different disciplines, different mindsets, different lenses of people working together. The purpose of Trend is we are going to assist design engineers by providing a toolkit. And this toolkit includes things like models, processes, ways of working, with the purpose of supporting the rapid uptake of emerging technologies, as well as actually trying to use current technologies more effectively. In effect, our ultimate ambition, our whole aim, is to actually be able to create a transdisciplinary engineering index that industry can use to say, where are we now, where do we want to get to, and how do we get there? So within this paper, what you'll be able to read about is an overview of what we're trying to do and the progress that we've made towards creating a TE index. So why would we focus on transdisciplinary engineering? Why do we think it's important? There are many advances in technologies happening just now, such as additive manufacturing, smart materials, and digitalization. The result of this is you can actually get quite highly complex systems, and it also changes the way we work and how we have to work with other people from different disciplines, different mindsets, and actually often we're all speaking a different language. And the problem with current practices at the moment is though they're actually very good in particular areas, often the focus on one particular domain or one particular discipline or one particular mindset. And what that often means is we fail and don't do as well as we could in understanding the whole factors that are affecting how we work. And this is particularly prevalent when we're looking at the uptake of a successful new technology or if we want a successful project to be working. Our hypothesis is, and I think it's probably many people's hypothesis, is that actually if we want to be really successful, we have to go above and beyond engineering disciplines. And in our view, and as the view of the conference kind of theme is, TE is the best able to overcome this challenge. In other words, we have to look at the wider concepts, the wider ways of working, and the wider ideas that come forward. But again, it's great saying we've got to do this, we've got to do that, but actually, how do we know where we are? How do we actually manage it? And this is what the Trend Group are focusing on. How do we create an index or a way where industry can work out where they are? So for example, if I was looking at manufacturing and I said I wanted to increase my productivity, I couldn't work that out if I didn't actually know where my benchmark was or how I was doing now. So for understanding transdisciplinary engineering, we have to be able to do the same thing. We have to know where we are now and know where we want to go. Now, to actually do this, apart from the research we're obviously doing, we are working closely with industrial partners. And our industrial partners have quite a range. We've got a small consultancy that we're working with very closely. It does very small jobs very quickly and quite diverse. We have a large aerospace manufacturer, Airbus, who again are well established and have a lot of digital techniques and a lot of data and information. And then we have a company that's probably in between the both that does things like medical work and very high precision manufacturing and measurement. So as you see, we've got Cubic, we've got Airbus, and we've got Renishaw. So to look at this TE index, what we have identified is 4 overarching streams. Now they're top level streams of research that we're looking at. And this is initially to say, how do we plan where we're going and how do we measure where we are? So stream 1 was initially to look at characterising transdisciplinarity research within engineering. Because the view was that actually transdisciplinary is not new, but actually it's not used that much in engineering. So that's our stream 1. We actually wanted to characterise what is actually happening in engineering so we have an evidence base to work with. The second part of this was then to actually look at in stream 2, what does industry think of transdisciplinarity? Do they do transdisciplinary engineering? What do they actually do? And what do they think of it? And do they actually use the terms at all? Stream 3, if you notice, is all very great. We're saying we've got to be TD or we've got to do transdisciplinary engineering. Well, to embed that, we have to start looking at our engineers of the future or our social sciences of the future or our designers of the future. So from that point of view, we're actually looking at how do we inbuild transdisciplinarity into engineering education. Then finally, if we look at an index, and I've known from work I've done in the past, that actually human factors are critical. So you may have the best system in the world or the best design in the world, but actually a human can make it not work if they choose to. So, but they also want things to work. So how do you identify what skills will actually help transdisciplinarity to be successful and actually be able for people to enjoy the work at the same time? Now, all the work we do is focused on design and manufacturing, in other words, from cradle to cradle, from genesis design through to end of life or reuse. So though we've got these 4 overarching streams, we're 2 years into the project and we've got some preliminary results. So when we looked at characterising TD within engineering research, what we actually found is actually TD is mentioned in many papers, but actually often it's not TD that's actually happening. And the other thing in engineering, it's actually a lot less prevalent and not mentioned as much. And when it is mentioned, they do tend to be towards operational issues about how do we manage assets, how do we look at digital twins, how do we embed Industry 4.0. And then when we looked at Stream 2 in industry, we went round and did a number of one-to-one interviews. And for these, what we looked at is actually within industry, they don't really use the term transdisciplinary engineering or transdisciplinary, but often they are doing TD working. So that's one thing that we picked up. So we need to think about how we engage with industry when we're talking about transdisciplinary engineering. And then when we look at the literature for Stream 3, when we say about the educational approach for TD, we know that to be successful, we have to get our engineers trained from the beginning. So what we've done is we've done some test beds with our people at Bath and our new PhD students. And paper 6 in this conference will give you a lot more detail on that, so I won't go into too much depth here. And in Stream 4, when we're looking at the skills required for TD working, so to be successful, we have to actually have the right skill set and the right teams together and the right understanding of what TD is. And paper 13, which is led by Jana, will give us more detail on that. So to summarise our current findings and future steps that we'll be doing within the TREND project, we know that the changing landscape of manufacturing makes it a designated field for TD. It's a good area to be working in. We actually want to have a practical index that industry can use and therefore say where are they now and where do they want to go. A lot more research is required to achieve this though. And over the coming months, our plan is to actually synthesize our research to date to actually create the initial TE index. And then from there, what we will do, obviously, is start embedding that and test it in industry with our partners. And obviously, do more TE education more widely.